everybody, welcome back to another edition of the EcoStruxure Machine Expert HVAC. I'm your host, Leandro, and in this video what we're going to see is how to use the syntax for. So let's go to the presentation. So the idea here is to explain to you how this works, and then we're going to see how to use it in the code. So this kind of statement for needs to be used only on the ST language, structured text, not the other ones. So the idea of this for is to have, for example, a block that we need to set some initial parameters, okay, which are defined, which is one variable that's going to be increased during time or during the execution, and then we're gonna need to specify from where it's going to start to when it's going to end and the steps for this. So the idea is for using the for is for this variable to be contained in these values, do something. So the idea is to, again, have a variable that is going to be incremented n times so you can execute a code. Okay, we usually use the for, or at least I use it for when I work with arrays, so I can go through the array and see all the different elements of the array. Okay, so that's most the idea of where I use it, or I don't know, be creative. But so we have, when we enter, we are executing the any line of the code, okay, and then we have the for. So this is going to be this part, okay. So in the for, we have a few things that we need to initialize. So we need to define a variable, the initial value for that variable, the final condition for that variable to finish the for, and then the increment step that we want for this variable. Now, as soon as we have this, the for function will initialize the value, the variable with the value that we have defined, and then it will check if the variable is bigger than the end value that we have. If not, then it will run the code and it will increment one, or the step that we have used, to the variable, and then it will check it again. As soon as this condition, okay, is true, it will get out from the for. So you mentioned that you have the for, you have the run code over here, and then this is the end on the for, and I have something different here. Okay, so if the code will run over here, and we keep running until we match this condition. So as soon as it match, go over here, execute, and then we go to the end. Okay, and then we will continue with the code. So this is basically the idea, the rough idea. So it is important for us to understand the syntax and how it works. So we start with the for. Okay, we need to specify a variable that is going to be incremented. Then we need to assign this is the assignation as we saw before. Then we need to define the initial value, the end value that we want, and for that we have these two. And then we need to define the increments using by the increment for that variable, and then just do. So if the value is start from 0 to, I don't know, 9 by 1, then do something. So in this particular case, I have this example, I have this variable index, which is an integer. Okay, the initial value is going to be 0, the final will be 9, okay, and the stats by 1, and then just do. And in my case, I have this. So I have an array. So the idea is, okay, I have an array, I don't know. Imagine that there are 9, I don't know, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can carry on with that. So in the first part of this, okay, it's going to be multiplied by 55. So giving you the idea. So the index value, okay, index, oops, is going to be 0. So 0 multiplied by 55 is going to give me 0. This is going to be the first run, the first one. The second run, okay, the index value is going to be 1, and we are going to point it here, not here, okay, not here, to here, and then I'm going to multiply 1 multiplied by 55, so it's going to give me 55. On the third one, this is number 3, oops, number 3, we are not going to point over here, we're just going to point here because we are using the index as an element to indicate the array. So the position, the value is going to be 2, so the index 2 multiplied by 55 is going to give me 110. Okay, and then this is what it's going to do in a cycle. Okay, so it is important to define this, the initial and the end value and the increment. So for working with arrays, I believe it's brilliant. This is the way to do it. So let's create a function block st and use the syntax for, and then test the behavior. So let's go to the software. So right click, add function, new program, st, sr, checking for time. So you're going to use index, okay, and you're going to use an array vector. So it's going to be integer, an array of 0 to 9. So here, what we need to do, let's play a little bit. So init, value, it's going to be bool, it's going to be int, this one also int, and I'm going to define the final condition, and just to show you that you can use variables or step. Final and the step. You can use a constant or you can use a variable. In my case here, I'm going to define a variable. Number 8, step 1. One thing that if you're working with arrays, it's just you need to be careful that if you have an array, you are not pointing to a position outside the range that you have. So for I index equal to init to final condition by step, then or no, 2 and 4. So in order to check that this is working, calculation, I'm going to use a if calculation is true, then we can execute all this code. If not, that is not going to execute anything. So let's try to use the array. This one, I'm going to use the index here. It's going to be the index multiply by 3 plus index, just a calculation. So if everything goes well, should be able to work. So let's connect to the controller. It's missing something here. Then the other one. Remember to make sure that you have the semicolon at the end. Otherwise, you're gonna have that message. So here you can see this, and let's go to the watch and add the array. So I'm going to put here so this is just breakpoint. I'm going to explain later the breakpoint how it works, but this is just to show you how this works. So I didn't execute yet the index, so let's do it just one time here. So I'm going to change this. So now we enter into the first condition of the array. I'm going to add the index here just to show you. To put it over here, index. So as you can see, the index is 0, and then we're just going to add this part. So I'm going to use next step. Okay, it just went to here. Next step. So it enter into the 4. Okay, it executes my code, and then it just add 1 to the index, and then execute the next part again. So next one, you can see now is going to execute this part. So have 1 multiplied by 3 plus 1. That's next step. You can see it has incremented by 1 the step. Now the index is 2. And then if we just run this one time to the next time, you can see that it's filling all the spaces of the array. 9. Okay, the end condition is 9, so it's going to do this one at least one time, and it's going to do it every again. Okay, so I'm going to remove this breakpoint. You can see that it's using this. Okay, and the define the condition is true. Yes, we just get out, and it doesn't complete this part. Okay, that's something important. So it just held in the condition, it added 1, okay, but it didn't execute it. So you need to be careful. If I want it to be completed in this case, what I need to do is to add 1 to the final condition, the same number that I want. So if I final condition here plus 9, you see that you have this. And if I use, for example, I don't have the PLC connected, but final condition is going to be 12, it will do nothing here in the simulation, but it will give you a system watchdog or something similar. But yeah, this is how we can use the syntax of the 4. So you can see maybe the best would be to use with arrays, so you can cover going through the array and do whatever you need to do, probably organizing the array. Maybe this is the method called bubble, I believe, that you can organize from minimum to max elements that you have in the array. There are plenty of them. So let me see if I forgot something. This behavior is done. Yeah, so this is how we can use the 4 syntax on the HVAC software. Remember to use the syntax very well, the initial value, the end value that we want, the step, and the variable that we want to use. Okay, and in order to understand how it works, probably the best is to use the breakpoints, but that we cover later. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I see you on the next one.